All right. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. It is November 29, 2023. It's a Wednesday, and we're going to have ourselves a little session here talking about 500 partners being confirmed with Ripple, XRP getting utility unlocked, and a little $10 XRP price prediction. So let me share this one out on X real quick. And let's get this party started. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. I wanted to cover this point here to really set the tone. And I'm going to come back to this one later too, but to set the tone here initially, this tweet from Gary Savage I think summarizes it pretty well. Gold, and this is just his prediction. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out with gold pushing back towards all-time high once again. He says gold isn't going back below 2,000, at least not for more than a day at most. Gold has frustrated so many traders for the last 3 years that they've got recency bias so that they can't recognize that something has changed. The suppression is breaking. Now, I had to look up recency bias to, look up what that term meant. And it means that you're putting too much emphasis on today's events when you're putting out your expectations for what is coming in the future, i.e., you're focused on today's price action without realizing what is coming your way. For gold, it's an asset that's been suppressed for years. Some might argue even longer than that, decades, right? For XRP, obviously an asset that missed the last bull run, has been suppressed for years with tremendous partnerships and significant news, yet we don't get price action, and this creates recency bias where the XRP holder is focused on the price action not going anywhere, the dollars in their investment portfolio not increasing, and they think that it means that in the future it'll never happen. And that's where we've all gotten caught up. And so whether he's right with his prediction or not, I think that it's very interesting, and I wanted to set the tone with this tweet on recency bias for not just gold, investors, but also for the XRP community as well. He said, that being said, prices stretch too far above the 10-day moving average across the entire metals sector. We're probably going to have to churn for a week or so before we get to the test of all-time highs. And that's kind of similar to how I feel with XRP, right? Is that we're still watching us, as we begin this next bull run, okay? We're remaining patient. Traders will assume, here we go again, and then they will miss the move to the highs when it appears. Now, that's the key point, is that I see many XRP folks in our community struggling, and I get it. I try to do what I can. I'm not here to baby anybody, right? Just as an adult, to someone else, whether you're in the United States, whether you're across this world, I want you to win. And we need to understand not just XRP, we need to understand all the financial markets, investing with a diversified portfolio, creating ourselves a business or figuring out how to generate more cash just to survive, right? When it comes to the XRP community, though, what I see is max pain has been achieved. And maybe that doesn't mean that they're not going to hit us one more time. That we actually absolutely could get smacked one more time. And that's why I'm saying I'm remaining patient in crypto with an understanding of what's happening on the macro play, but without a doubt, pressure building behind gold approaching all-time high once again, silver back up above $25 per ounce, and Bitcoin back above 38,000 once again. But it has been rejected off of this level a couple times now. We have a few rejections. And I'm going to show you guys the charts on a zoomed out basis. We're on the weekly chart going back to 2021 bull run. And you can see that Bitcoin, right, it did its first run up in April of 2021 to about 65,000. And then we finished off the bull run in November with a run up to about 69,000, right? Now for Bitcoin here, we've tapped off of this level of 38,000. We've really broken out. But I have to remind everybody of what happened in 2019, right? When we did a 300% bull trap rally right here, okay? And then we got killed in March back down to nearly the same levels. And so this is why I remain patient, is because we did this. We did a 336, it's about a 340% bull trap rally before we got killed last bear market. Now, this time around, what have we done? Well, it's been about a 146%, if I got my numbers correct. We're at about 144% as I pull the number right there for you, but rough estimate, you get the point. We've done a 146% rally here, and maybe this is, this is it. This is the beginning of the next bull run. I'm just remaining cautious because I still worry about the stable coins. That's my main concern for the crypto space, and where we find problems with the other, implications of the broader economy as a whole entering recession and the equities market going into correction as well. So I put that all together as we analyze all of these cryptocurrencies, with Ethereum doing a little deal here, but it's not enough to get me excited yet. Same thing for XRP. I got all of our levels right here. We really can't be getting excited, right, until we break out. And the point that I've been trying to make here with XRP, though, is when we do break out, it's going to be happening so quickly. And as that tweet that I read off to start the episode here, folks have recency bias. So when it goes up to $1, we're going to think, oh, it's not happening. When it goes up to $2, we're going to say, no, this isn't it. This is just what we did in 2021. We're about to come back down. In fact, you have folks that are already selling off right now, and I'm seeing it when I vibe check the community, when I read the comments. I read all the comments on YouTube. Thank you for dropping your comments down below. If you're new here, by the way, make sure you subscribe to that notification bell. I read all the comments, and I'm in the Twitter spaces. I'm listening, and the vibe, right? The energy that I can feel from our community, I get it. We've been here, and this thing has gotten dragged out way longer than we all expected, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to still absolutely break out and rip to the upside when we do. So that recency bias is going to have folks in denial when we achieve these levels, and I'll show you the levels on the chart right here. 73 cents is where we went up to here recently, about 75 cents, okay? We're back down to basically 61 cents right now. And you saw what it did in July, up to $1. Great. Back up to the $1.20 to $1.30 level is another significant point to watch out for. And then that $1.60, $1.70 level before we go back up to $2. And as I said in last night's live show too, there's nothing between $2 and all-time high. Now, we could do a significant rejection off of $2, as I expect we will. We're going to have huge pullbacks the whole way. And preparing yourself emotionally for this is so important as an XRP investor, and with some of our other investments as well, because the tweet that I started off the show was talking about gold investors being in denial about gold running up to 2,000. We're going to go tap on the new, the all-time high of 2,080, which is what we achieved earlier this year. Gold has tapped off this level about 3 times, and it started in 2020. Did it in 2022, and then it did it once again this year. And 2080 was about the high that we got in US dollar terms. But you have to remember, we're already back at all-time high with other currencies, and we're already back at nearly all-time high actually for XRP in some other currencies as well too. That's what happens when these currencies get devalued so quickly. Inflation, in my opinion, is coming back. It's going to be coming back, roaring back. And what that's going to do to these risk-on assets is absolutely send them. And then when you look at the fundamental utilities behind XRP as well, with the speculation that will still be going on, it is going to take this thing to a new all-time high rather quickly, and we are going to be absolutely losing our minds. And I'm going to talk more about this towards the end of this episode. I got a lot to get through, but I wanted to kind of set the tone. I wanted to make a point on recency bias. If you haven't heard of the term before, look it up. It's important to understand, and I think it's great for XRP investors, gold, silver investors, the suppressed assets, XLM, XDC, to understand what this is. Now, with that being said, and in fact, I would just make one more final point on that. We have recency bias when it comes to the world coming crashing down too. And that's why I try to stay as positive as possible and find opportunities, where some good things are happening. And I try to track and share with you guys the positive developments, not just in crypto, but in the broader current events, political landscape, and the legal battlefield that we find ourselves on right now. Is that we're fighting battlefields here on the legal battlefield front. You look at our education system. We're talking about money. We're talking about finances, investing, real estate. And when you look at the system as it's been set up here, really set up against the common person. And as I've been describing with the Fed's decisions to rug pull Main Street economy, it's getting very difficult out there for the common person to just make it and get by, and to even get to the point of being able to stack some investments, right? But I do everything I can on my show here to keep our audience tapped in. And so without further ado, I'm going to get into tonight's update. But I think it's important to look and understand where we're at. XRP, so frustrating. Gold, silver, so frustrating. But we really don't have much. The sky's the limit. There is no precedent for after we break up to new all-time highs for gold. And for XRP, I'm remaining patient, but this thing's going to be falling behind very closely. So with that being said, let's get it rocking and rolling. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. That was your update. Bitcoin, 38,000. Ethereum, 2,041. XRP, 61 cents. XLM, back just under 12 cents. And this is what we have to watch right now is the DXY falling off. That dollar index. As this thing weakens, we see crypto, we see stocks, we see gold and silver all running up. Now, oil bouncing back off here about a low here of about $73 is where it went to, bouncing off of that. And for silver, it's a run up to $25 per ounce right now. We are watching for this thing to break above 30, which is a level that silver hit off of twice here back in 2020, August, and then in February of 2021, silver tapping 30 twice, essentially. And a couple bounces here off of 25 is right now where we've been trading in this year, right? Between about $20. You know, if you look at the lows this year back in March, we got down to $20 per ounce silver. So we've had some significant opportunities to pick up sub $20, sub $25, and now we're starting to break above 25. Silver has so much catch up to do, though. That's what's so interesting about that play. That's why I've been stacking it up exclusively. I don't have any gold. I've just been stacking silver. But silver has a long ways to go on the catch up. Now for gold, let's take a look at this chart. Triple tap, and now we're looking to do it a fourth time off of this level, basically above 2060. We hit basically 2069 back in 2022, March. And then in August of 2020, we hit 2073. Now this was May of this year, 2023, we hit an all-time high of 2082. Against other currencies, gold is already back to all-time high. So the sky's the limit after this thing breaks above this, but we really probably need to clear above this level of about 2100 right up here. That's a big psychological number, and so we want to see a clean break. A clean break above 2100, and I think this thing's absolutely off to the races. Now to get started off here, folks, it's very clear. The countries around the world, they're doing settlement outside of the US dollar, and they're stacking a record amount of gold. So the UAE and China have entered into a renewed currency swap arrangement worth $4.9 billion agreement for 5 years. Now, it was interesting to bring in this one to start off the episode because we do see that Henry Kissinger passed away today. Now, Henry Kissinger was so critical in basically establishing the petrodollar reserve currency after Nixon took us off the gold standard. Henry Kissinger was the deal maker who went around and did all these deals in the Middle East to get that petrodollar reserve currency, accepted. And that is what has given us our standard of living, and everything that we know as Americans up through the last 50 years was all done because Henry Kissinger was one of the main deal makers. Now, as he passes away, we see that the countries around the world are moving away, including our allies, right? United Arab Emirates and the Saudis and all these countries over here that are moving away, and even our allies like France that are now doing deals with Saudi Arabia outside of the US dollar as well. And this is why we're starting to see gold really run up, why we're seeing the oil has still been making a move too, is because these countries control the supply of that, and they've been cutting production. They've been cutting production, and they're going to continue to keep cutting production through the end of this year. Now, we're bringing it back home to start off here, back to the United States of America, looking at this situation with our resident Biden and his connection here. We have a new 2018 email that's been exposed. Now, this is being shared here by Mario Nafal. A 2018 email from a bank raised alarms about, I'm not even going to say these names. I'm not going to say this country, but this was a Bank Secrecy Act manager highlighted that 2018 payments did not align with services rendered and suggested a country was, had some efforts to target the children of politicians. You don't say, right? I'm actually going to just go to my full webcam. I don't even want to put these names on the screen. I want to make sure we don't get in trouble. But according to the House Oversight Chairman Comer, payments from that country funded a transaction to you-know-who from his brother via a check labeled loan repayment. $40,000 of the money that son received ended up in the father's account. Had to pay up for the big guy. And the bank's money laundering investigation pointed out several red flags. Now, let me stop for a second. How messed up is this? In the United States of America, I'm trying to talk about what our president has done. The allegations here, let all truth be revealed. That's all I'm trying to do is report on the news. And I'm scared to say the names of these countries and actors, right? How far gone are we? It's so sick. But you guys know why I have to do it. Why I have to save half the conversation for the Discord weekly call every Saturday, where I can actually let it free and let it fly on some of these topics that I got to tiptoe around and be so careful talking about, when it's just clear as day, the corruption. It's just so clear. What are we doing? What conversation are we having? How's that program working out for the mainstream media as they just got bombed by Elon today? I don't know if you guys saw that. Oh, they had no idea what to do. Andrew Ross Sorkin there. That was pretty funny to see with Elon. They have no idea. They're in total damage control. And by the way, I wanted to add this point. Right on time, right on cue. As we start to see huge truth bombs getting dropped and revelations coming about, now they're warning that a solar storm hit this week, and then we're going to see some of the most intense solar cycle that we've ever seen coming next year, and it could take the internet down for extended periods of time. Right on time, right on cue. Now, as I'm saying, let all truth be revealed. And when they looked into this, they have an irregular payments pattern, lack of clear services provided. Well, we know what services were being provided, and an absence of legitimate business rationale. The 16 entities that they had to funnel and move around and do their deals, right? It's so clear. Let's bring it about. And I'm going to put out my prediction right now. One of the black swan events that we have coming over the next year is going to be this family getting exposed, and Joseph coming forward, and they're going to pull something. This is going to be his exit, right? Right as he's getting exposed, his exit. I don't know how it's going to go down. I'm just going to throw that prediction out there right now for potential black swans. Biden's black swan. I'll be watching out for that one. But it's just so clear, and it's not political, guys. It's just like when I bring it back to the economic data points. The economic data points aren't political either. It's just facts. It's just we need to bring this to the light. We need to understand what's happening here in our country. We need to try to save our country. I still think it's worth saving. Contrary to what many people think, I think that we have an opportunity. Excuse me. I think we have an opportunity worth saving here in this country. And I am not one here that cheerleads everything that they're trying to tell us to do. See, I'm not afraid to question what's going on in our country. Are we entering a recession? What's going on with this GDP data that got reported today? And we're going to break it down right here for you. Peter Schiff, the U.S. economy is already in recession. Though Q3 GDP grew by 5.2%, that's the data point that we got today, is that GDP has grown by 5.2%. But government spending contributed 5.5%. So without that spending, GDP would have contracted by 0.3%. Government spending, borrowed money, doesn't reflect real economic growth. It will only lead to higher inflation. So basically, without the government spending as much as they did, our GDP actually would have contracted, and we would, already be in recession. This person right here, CGAK, taking a look at this data point right here. Deflating nominal GDP using government's CPI based on a cost of living index. Now, I'm not trying to confuse you, and you guys know I always try to keep things simple, but don't get too lost on this, what this data point is called. Just look at, what's included and look at what it spits out contrary to what they're reporting. So the deflating nominal GDP using the government's CPI lie based on a cost of living index with substitutions to account for a given standard of living, the deflator actually turns into an inflator. Put on the glasses to see the truth. Deflating nominal GDP using the government's CPI based on a cost of goods index with no substitutes to account for the cost of maintaining a constant standard of living, the deflator reveals the economic reality, and that's what we want. That's why you guys tune into this show here. Now, so if you do that, well, what's the real numbers, right? The real numbers is 2023 Q2, we would have contracted, right, by 5 basis points. And in Q1, we would have contracted by 60 basis points. And then in Q4, we would have contracted by 1.68%. So that is a significant difference between what they're reporting, right? And they're reporting all these increases. They're reporting that the GDP is at 5%. But as Peter pointed out, you have 5.5% of that being contributed by the government spending. Now, another data point, Steph Palmboy shares this. Don't believe the hype. The widest gap between GDI and GDP in history. Now, I had to look this up. I had never heard of this, and I don't even know how well you guys can see that. That chart's really, she should have done some different colors on that chart. It's not very visible there, but I want to show you guys what this is. So you can see we're at levels that we haven't been at since 2007. Since December of 2007 is this level right here, and we've now surpassed that. Now, what is this data point? Let me share this with you. And I see you, Lee. Huge shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much for the super chat, 10 spot. Yo, Zach, just stopping in for support. I appreciate you, Lee, so much, brother. Thank you for stopping by. Now, this data point's very important. Something that nobody's talking about. The formula and calculation for gross domestic income. So this is different from GDP, right? Gross domestic product. So we have GDI, which is gross domestic income, which equals wages plus profits plus interest income plus rental income plus taxes minus production import subsidies plus statistical adjustments. Now your GDP equals consumption plus investment plus government purchases, which, as we've highlighted, was significant part of the growth, came from government spending, plus your exports minus imports, and that equals your GDP. So when you look at this, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis of the U.S. Department of Commerce, GDI and GDP are conceptually equivalent in terms of national economic accounting, with minor differences attributed to statistical discrepancies. The market value of goods and services consumed often differs from the amount of income earned to produce them due to sampling errors, coverage differences, and timing differences. Now, long story short, they are fudging these numbers in so many different ways, right? But what's important here, this is what's so important. This is what I wanted to share with you down here. Some economists have argued that GDI might be a more accurate gauge of the economy. The reason is that more advanced estimates of GDI are closer to the final estimates of both calculations. Research from Federal Reserve economist Jeremy Nailwalk showed that early estimates of GDI captured the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009 better than GDP, suggesting that policymakers would have been better prepared if GDI was the main indicator used. So this is an indicator that we can take a look at that captured the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009. And as we saw in this chart, we're at levels, and we've already surpassed the levels of 2007 December. And what happened after December of 2007? Well, that was Lehman Brothers in 2008 and the complete collapse, right? And that's when we entered our recession. So this is what I mean. When we see the stock market going back up, when we see crypto going back up right now, that's fine. I love to see it too. But we have to look at the real numbers, the real data, what our country's actually producing versus what we're consuming. And how is that standard of living going to be affected, along with where are the markets heading? Now, when we do look at the Main Street economy, Tom Emmer shares this one here with us. Typical American households have to spend an extra $11,000 per year on average just to afford the basics. Guys, this is why I don't sugarcoat any of this. I understand the real situation. I know how much my family's spending, and it's ridiculous. In Minnesota, it's even worse at nearly $13,000 per year that the average American household is spending in Minnesota versus $11,400 in across the country. Bidenomics is crushing the everyday Americans. This White House is completely out of touch. But Tom, let's really look at this deal. Let's expand further. It's not just Bidenomics. Biden's a puppet. Let's move past that. Let's achieve a more, intellectual conversation on what the real problem is, which is the Federal Reserve and the central bank. See, the central bank created this crisis. It's not Bidenomics, right? Bidenomics has made it worse, but fundamentally what got us here was the Fed. And so we need to dive in on that. And then we also need to have already subpoenaed Gary Gensler last year, okay? So let's get to it. Let's get over the target. And what's interesting to see, though, folks, is this is hitting home for so many people across this country. I mostly focus on the United States, but I want to share a story here out of the UK because it highlights the austerity, the cuts, and the situation that's coming back for governments that have gone over their budget. They can no longer keep up, and they're on a sustainable path, an unsustainable path that's finally gone bust, and they are now declaring bankruptcy. And this is going to be coming back home to the United States, in my opinion, as well. So just in, Nottingham City Council declares itself bankrupt. All new spending except for protecting vulnerable people and statutory services must stop immediately. Now, this is not something that is just taking place in Nottingham. If you look at this article right here from The Guardian, Nottingham City Council wasn't reckless. It was hollowed out by austerity. And they're kind of trying to cover up this thing. They're trying to, kind of come up with excuses. But they say here, other local authority bankruptcies have been explained away as special cases, but this one may become an all too familiar story. Well, I don't need to read the whole thing to you. I can just read, let you have the main data points, which is that there's already dozens of, city and county level governments that have already gone bust, and they're already on the brink of going bust. And so they're trying to come up, they try to come up with excuses for the first few, but then after you get a dozen, right, how many more excuses can you come up with? And so this is something that's taking place in the UK right now, but I'm watching this expand into other countries throughout Europe as well. And the milkshake theory for the United States, if you haven't heard of this, Brent Johnson, I was just listening to him on Ken McElroy's show, and they were talking about the milkshake theory, and basically the dollar, once again, is the cleanest shirt in the closet. So although we've experienced a good time here as of late, because what happened was the Fed raised interest rates, it strengthened the dollar. And so, relatively speaking, the commodities that we need to live our life, they came back down kind of into balance. They came back off of the highs, right? Oil was up at about $140 per barrel. Now it came back down to about $70 per barrel. Now it's up to about 80. So that was good for Americans, right? We can consume. We're bringing things back down, and they're reporting that inflation has come back down. But then it also pumped the stocks as well. And so it was the best of both worlds. And all this capital coming back to the United States primed our real estate market. It primed our equities market. And this is something that we've benefited from tremendously. But now you're seeing these countries are going bankrupt and bust. And many of them, this is why our allies are turning away from the U.S. because it's a matter of going bankrupt and bust. They no longer care about appeasing the U.S. It's about saving their own country, saving their own butts. And so this is why our allies are de-dollarizing and turning away from the U.S. dollar. As I just reported on the very beginning of this episode, the United Arab Emirates and China agreeing to do deals outside the US dollar worth billions of dollars. And we're reporting stories like this every single day, right? Every single day, it's another country that is de-dollarized. It's another two countries that have decided to move outside the US dollar. So enjoy the run up while it lasts. I think that we could get that Fed turning back on the money printer next year after the Black Swan event, after whatever they hit us with. Excuse me. We'll see them, turn things back on. Enjoy it while it lasts. But at the end of the day, we have a significant reset that is already underway, and we're eventually going to have to realize what's been going on here, which is 684 billion in unrealized losses that is being held by US banks. So folks, I just shared how expensive it is for the average American on Main Street, but don't think that it's just us, regular common folk, that are experiencing the pain. The largest banks here in the United States are holding 684 billion of unrealized losses. And as I talked about in my episode earlier today, this is why Bank of America, this is why other banks and institutions need gold, they need XRP, and they need to adjust their balance sheet. And if they have a better investment opportunity than, putting gold or XRP on their balance sheet, then, God bless them. They need to do something. That's the point. I'm making the case that, hey, you add some, gold, XRP to your balance sheet, maybe some other things, you might be able to save the day. Not only can you use XRP for its utility and cross-border payments too, you can add it to the balance sheet to see that price appreciation. For gold, it's the same thing as a store of value, and that's already happening. So it's already happening in banks across the world. Central banks buying more gold than they have in 50 plus years. And the Basel III requirements that have been rolled out are making it so that these banks have to actually have stricter capital requirements on the back end of their holdings. And they're still able to get away right now with not having to mark to market these losses that they would realize if they had to mark to market their balance sheet, their assets. And this is the problem is, this is 684 billion just within the banks and just within their bonds. When you look at the commercial mortgage-backed securities that they have as well, and the trillions of commercial real estate that they need to reset as well, you have significant unrealized losses on the balance sheets of these banks, well over 1 trillion, well over. So that's the situation, and that's why they need XRP. And as we get a report here, a little update from Ripple, we're rolling on into the cryptocurrency update, we get the confirmation that many banks are already currently using XRP at the heart as a bridge currency. Take a listen at this one. This looks like the Ripple Payments Roadshow in Melbourne, and it looks like they were a key sponsor at this roadshow. Let's take a listen here.
Of networks when it comes to payments. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being a major sponsor. May I ask one quick question? With crypto emerging, what do you foresee that being a viable exchange in the future? Yeah, absolutely. So, Ripple believes in utility. So there are a lot of crypto players out there who, frankly, won't last long, and it scares a lot of people in logistics. I think if they start to dabble in that, absolutely, it scares a lot of us. So what Ripple has always done is taken that baseline technology, and we've said from the very start, from the outset, that every technology needs a use case. And for us, the very clear use case is payments, because the XRP Ledger, which is an open source public blockchain, was purpose built for payments, for speed of transaction. So we absolutely see it. Over 500 organizations are working with us today, and many of them are using XRP at the heart as a bridge currency. So that is already happening, and we see much more coming. Yes. Thank you so much for being a major sponsor, and it's so great to see the effects of Ripple in our industry. We know that fast payments from suppliers, importers, to shipping lines, to air freight companies is really valuable, and thank you for coming and sharing the information. Thank you for having us. We're super excited about Australia, and the event has been wonderful to explore different segments, and very keen to hear about payments challenges that the various companies and industries and segments have. So thank you again. Take care.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that I went off of mute. If you guys were here for last night's live show, I muted myself for about 5 minutes after I played a clip. So are we good? It looks good on my end. I'm making sure that I didn't mute myself before I continue on. And as she was saying there, right? You already have many banks, quote, many banks are currently using XRP at the heart as a bridge currency. And today we got the confirmation. We shared the video earlier. 500 partnerships now with Ripple. Now, let's be very clear. Not all of them are using XRP yet, right? But they've been introduced. And so we can see, right, where this goes. You have 500 banks, payment providers, and institutions that are already partnered up with Ripple. It is so easy for them to just flip that switch and they can start selling with XRP instantaneously. Excuse me. So this is what we're watching right now. The other one that I wanted to remind everyone of is this one right here. Good Morning Crypto, huge shout out. It says Ripple confirms approval in 31 US states for money transfer licenses. So they have gotten deals done in 31 states for MTL, money transfer licenses. With 31 money transfer licenses across the US, excluding California, New York, Texas, Florida, it's setting the stage. Ripple's global reach extends to Singapore with a rare regulatory green light in June. Despite the SEC attack on crypto, Ripple continues to thrive. And what he's talking about there is the monetary authority of Singapore. So basically in all the jurisdictions that matter, they're getting clarity. They are coming into compliance. They are very regulated. And that's what Brad and Ripple always says, right? When folks talk about how this space isn't regulated, Ripple's like, everything that we're doing is very regulated, right? And they're complying with Bank Secrecy Acts. They're complying with AML, Know Your Customer standards, and all of their touch points are regulated, right? They're using the XRP in a way that is 100% within compliance, right? And now we know the XRP in of itself is not a security either. So this is what brings me to this $10 XRP price prediction, which is an older prediction from Yoshitaka Kitao. I had never heard this though. This one was new for me. In fact, I probably did see it at the time. I've just forgotten about it because there's been so many developments over the last few years. This one was originally shared at the beginning of 2019. Okay, and so this article right here, Ripple price prediction, you have CEO Yoshitaka Kitao wants all of Japan's banks to use Ripple's coin. Now, I remember that statement like it was yesterday, right? This is when I was first getting in and started to go all in on XRP, was when these headlines were coming out, right? But the reason why I wanted to bring this up again is just to remind you that we're not crazy for talking about XRP just going to $10. I see we got trolls in the comments that are saying that XRP will never go to $1. And we get that every day. Every video I drop, we get haters saying that XRP is never going to go to $1. The fact is they have no factual basis to actually make that claim. They have none. And when we go listen to folks that are pretty smart, pretty respected, and they're pretty serious when they come out and make a statement. They're not just here to get clickbait. They're not here to make a meme. Yoshitaka Kitao, the CEO of SBI, is getting real business deals done, right? And we just saw the SBI partnered up with Circle. If you guys missed that one, that was the most recent adoption. And the point that I've been trying to say is where this goes is SBI tokenizes the digital yen, right? The Japanese currency. They're going to put the yen on the XRP ledger. You're going to get USDC on the XRP ledger from Circle or any other issuer. And this is where we start to build out liquidity pools for all these other currencies. And I firmly believe that if not the best, one of the best sources of liquidity is going to be the XRP ledger. There are other ledgers that might be technically faster, right? That's not what it's about. What it's about is the connections with people that actually matter. And that's what we're seeing achieved out with Ripple, right? You can have the best tech in the world, but if you can't get anybody that matters to sit across the table from you, get out the pen and put ink to paper and to put XRP on their balance sheet and to start using XRP for cross-border payments. And that is what Ripple's been achieving. When you combine that with the utility that we're getting on the XRPL, with all of the validators now starting to update for AMM, we see 2 fixes that have already been adapted. And let me go pull up the ticker right now. Actually, I'm going to pull up XRP scan so we can take a look at this. But as I was sharing at the very beginning, I said that I was going to bring it back up again. And this is when I wanted to bring it up, is after I talked about this $10 price prediction. Yoshitaka Kitao, Brad Garlinghouse, these are guys that don't just come out and make statements like Brad Garlinghouse saying that 99% of crypto is going away, or Yoshitaka Kitao saying that XRP could go to $10 and that he thinks that every bank in Japan is going to use XRP. They don't just come out and say that, right? And we forget that. We've been beaten down, we've been frustrated, and we're tired. And this is what is happening right now for gold as well. So gold has frustrated traders for the last 3 years that have gotten recency bias. This is a term that everyone needs to understand. Recency bias. So bad that they can't recognize that something has changed. The suppression is breaking. Now, this is what I'm talking about, is our community is just been ran through it, through the lawsuit, through price suppression. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. When you look up the definition here, what is recency bias? Recency bias is the tendency to place too much emphasis on experiences that are freshest in your memory, even if they are not the most relevant or reliable. That is why I'm bringing up a prediction from 2019 today here in November of 2023 to remind you guys where we've been in our research. And when we combine that with the 500 partnerships that we got announced and confirmed today, what kind of rocket ship are we on? Are we on a rocket ship that's going to be able to, go to the moon or what? Break through the firmament or what? You guys let me know in the comments down below. But for me, I think it's important for us to understand that it's only a matter of time with the legal clarity that's coming. So many of these banks and institutional partners are going to feel comfortable starting to add XRP to their balance sheet and using on-demand liquidity as well. And so Ripple's been putting all the infrastructure in place with Medico, another key part of that, the institutional grade custody that they can now provide to their partners as well. So key. And so what I see is even if we get some more pullbacks for crypto, as I'm worried about with kind of a black swan event coming in this election cycle, or maybe a couple, it could get real spicy this election cycle, then we could see a pullback for sure. But what is inevitable is a breakout to all-time highs for gold, even for silver too, and for XRP, XLM, and XDC. And when you go just to conservative price targets of $10, that is a very interesting opportunity. I'm not here to give you financial advice. It could potentially maybe be life-changing. Maybe it could be the start of building generational wealth. And for me, that's what I try to do here. That's what I'm focused on right now is we've beat the drum on XRP on a daily basis. And I read the comments and folks are saying, Zach, stop talking about XRP every day. Okay, well, I would if there wasn't developments that are happening every single day that I'm adding to my thesis. Now, if you've lost conviction and you don't want to keep adding to your thesis, that's fine. Or if you've seen or you haven't seen enough that you've lost conviction in your thesis and that you're done, then that's your prerogative. I mean, I'm not going to stop anybody. I'm not here to give anybody financial advice. I'm not here to beg you to keep your XRP. But for me, the reason why I'm going to keep talking about XRP on a daily basis is because the developments are still happening. Because we're seeing that today, with the announcement confirmation that we have 500 partnerships confirmed, what happened on Linkto's platform? Share price of Ripple offering went down. While the stock market's going up, while everything's going up, why is Ripple equity going down, right? Now, Linkto might have come into a little tranche of Ripple at a cheaper price, and so maybe they're turning around and offering that to us at a cheaper price. I'm starting to look at this thing and get real excited though, now that Linkto's been offering Ripple at under $40 per share. And I'm going to pull it up just so I can get the updated stats here on this opportunity. And the link should be down below if you guys need to sign in, if you guys need to take advantage of the deal with Linkto. I should have it linked up down below in the description of all these videos now. But you can see right here, folks, it's already, this is what's so funny. It's already pumping back up. So earlier today, this thing's moving quickly. So if you've been on the sidelines about Ripple equity, just watch, okay? Because the deals are coming, but they don't last long. It's just like XRP. So earlier today, Ripple equity was being offered at $39. It was under $40 per share. Okay, now they've bumped it back up. Now we're back up to $40 share price. So literally, just within the last 12 hours since I dropped my video this morning, and since we did the update last night, this is what was so crazy, is last night, Ripple equity was at, $50 per share? And if you paid for over $10,000 worth, you got down to like 47 or something like that. It was about $50 per share though. That was last night's live stream. Now this morning, I noticed that the price went down. And so in today's video this morning, you probably saw me talking about this. Ripple equity had gone under $40 per share. Now within the last past few hours, we're already back up over $40 per share. And there's only so much of this to go around, folks. I'm not trying to FOMO. I'm not trying to push anybody into this. I'm just watching this. I'm just observing this. And when I do the valuation on Ripple, I come up with a much higher valuation than $7.4 billion, which is what the implied valuation is at the share price of $40 per share. Implied valuation of $7.4 billion. I mean, shoot, the XRP that they have on hand, combined with the cash that they have on hand, is worth more than that $7.4 billion. Are you kidding me? But if you run it up, we're down to $38. See, earlier today, it was down to $37 per share. Implied valuation of $7 billion right now when you spend over $10,000. Now, the way to get $500 towards your investment is to be a new investor. So if you've already signed up with Linkto, you're not going to get $500 when you use my link on down below. But if you are new, if you're a accredited investor, you can take advantage of that and you're going to get $500 towards your first investment. So not only do you support my show and what I'm doing, but you're also going to get $500 towards your first investment. Now, you're going to have to be an accredited investor, obviously, and you're going to have to get in touch with Linkto and get this deal done while you can still get it under $40 per share, because you're seeing this thing's moving. And when you look at what Ripple did, they bought back shares at $15 billion per share back in 2022. So they felt comfortable enough to buy back their stock at a $15 billion valuation. And in 2020, they raised money at a $10 billion valuation. Now, let me know in the comments down below. Do you think that Ripple is worth less today than they were back in 2020 when they raised at a $10 billion valuation? You think that was... I mean, granted, there was a lot of froth. There's been a lot of money circulating. We've seen WeWork IPO'd at $47 billion. 2 years later, WeWork is bankrupt. So, one could argue that the $10 billion valuation in 2020 was too much. One could argue that Ripple overpaid when they bought back their stock at $15 billion valuation. I argue that it's worth more than the $7 billion valuation. I think it's worth more than $10 billion today. And their business model has been proven. They've been selling XRP, which has generated significant revenue and profit for the company. But what gets interesting for me is that they're not even including the XRP and Escrow in that valuation. And then when you take it one step further, when Ripple has the ability to start injecting their XRP into the AMM liquidity pools, and they get to start getting that XRP working for them. So it's just like us. We're all so excited for AMMs, right? AMMs is going to be amazing because we're going to be able to delegate our XRP, delegate our assets, and we're going to be able to, get a reward. We're finally going to get some DeFi on XRP cooking, right? Can't wait for it. Well, who has the most to gain from that? And why do you think that Ripple has been trying to push the AMM amendment so hard? Is because they have the most to gain here when they can deploy their billions of XRP into these liquidity pools where they don't have to give up possession, they don't have to sell, but they can still reap that reward. So that's going to be another, revenue stream for Ripple on top of what they already got cooking. And the fact that they're, not counting for, and maybe that's why Ripple, I would speculate, I would dare to speculate that that's why Ripple was willing to pay for their stock back, their buyback at a $15 billion valuation, because they know what they got cooking. They know they were able to raise money at a $10 billion valuation in 2020, and they were willing to go pay $15 billion valuation in 2022 because they know what they got cooking. And they know what their IPO is going to be. And do you think that they would have been buying back their shares at a $15 billion valuation if they thought that they were going to IPO at $16 billion, $17 billion, that they were going to make that little bit of money? Or do you think that they have plans that might be just a little bit higher than that? See, this is what I see with Ripple. This is what I see with XRP too, is that we have two assets that on the conservative side of predictions, expectations, I can easily, very conservatively have some expectations for myself. I'm not here to guarantee anybody anything or give you any sort of financial advice, but I can conservatively take a look at these things and say, yeah, 10x, 5x. Let's be just ridiculously conservative. Can XRP 5x? Yes. Can Ripple Equity 5x? Yes. Okay, fantastic. Now we can start talking deals. Now we can start talking allocation. Because you know my deal. I'm not looking for 10 to 20% returns right now. Not in an inflationary environment when the real inflation on anything that matters is well over 10%. I am running with the assumption right now that inflation is about 10%. And I'm just rounding up. That's not based off of hard data. It's based off of taking the CPI lie at 3%, doubling it to 6-7%, and then rounding up to 10%. And it's based off of going to the damn grocery store, going to fill up my tank, going to do anything today. And the real cost of goods and services is much more than 10% on all of the stuff that I'm buying, right? So if I'm not making 10% on my money, we're not even breaking even. And so this is why for me, on one side of my portfolio, we play it safe, even though we do expect some gains from this too. I mean, you want to talk about 5x, you want to talk about 10x, even just doubling up for silver. If you want to stay real conservative, just doubling up with silver could easily be achieved. But at the bare minimum, right, you have a hedge against inflation. This is why I've been stacking silver as my savings account. I consider this savings. And for me, I don't plan on selling this back out. Even if silver does, let's do a 10x. Let's go to $250 per ounce silver. Okay? We go to $250 per ounce. This coin right here is going to be worth $250, right? This bar right here is going to be worth $2,500. That's going to be cool. And I'm not going to sell. See, for me, the silver allocation is something to pass on down to the children because it was money for my parents, for my grandparents, and for the last 2,000 years. And I believe there's going to be money and it's going to be a good hedge and store of value for my children too. So for me, that's why it's on the conservative safe side of my portfolio, which allows me, once I have my silver stacked and then I have my cash stacked and a little bit of savings just so that I can stay liquid, then that allows me to focus all my time on making my money through my businesses, stacking up as much liquid cash as possible so that we can focus on the next investment opportunities. And for me, I'm not looking at 10 to 20%. Thank you. I will pass on that. I am looking for how do I double my money? And even doubling is just a start. It's a conversation starter. But when I look at these opportunities for 5 to 10x on a very conservative basis, see, many folks think that XRP is going to do a lot more. That's fine. That's great. I do too, right? But when you keep your expectations conservative, and then we just focus on how much of the dang coin have I stacked, it allows you to ride out this period of suppression, this period of frustration, anger, and when we see so many in the community losing faith, losing conviction, I think it's going to just be so painful to watch as we just melt faces. On one side, we're going to be so happy. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be pandemonium. And we're going to be losing our minds. But then on the other side, we're going to hear all the stories coming out of folks who sold their XRP now and they missed the gains, or they didn't know what to do. They didn't execute their exit strategy. They didn't have a plan. And so when XRP went to $10 and then it goes back down to $3, we're going to come back and then we're going to be sad, right? This is what I'm expecting. But this is all part of the process of going much higher, in my opinion. Yoshitaka Kitao throwing out a $10 price prediction. That's fun. That gets us somewhere. That's life-changing gains. And that's a good spot to have a conversation at, especially for new people. When you try to take someone from 0 to 589, they can't understand that. They can't wrap their minds around that, right? They're still trying to compare, that would take the market cap to such and such. And the market cap of Tesla is only this much. And the market cap of Amazon's only whatever it is, right? And they're still trying to wrap their minds around that. And so when you're getting started with new folks, I think the XRP community can be kind of off-putting if we go straight to 589. I'm not saying that we don't go to 589. I love talking about 589, sure. But for when I speak on a daily basis here, the reason why I keep my numbers conservative is so that we don't scare people away, thinking that we're crazies for talking about XRP to 589, talking about gold to 50,000, right? I'm willing to talk about crazy numbers, but I'm also trying to stay based in conservative predictions for the new people that are coming to my show. So that's kind of where I'm coming at from that point. Do I own any Ripple on Linkto? No, Doran, I don't own any Ripple stock right now at the time of this recording. I don't own any. Okay, but I'm looking at this deal very closely. I got my cash on the sidelines ready to go, but I'm just remaining incredibly patient right now on a real estate deal. I'm remaining patient on private equity deals because I see a correction for the broader equities market. And so I'll be honest, to see the Ripple offer come down on Linkto didn't surprise me, because the broader economy and the broader equities have they've been rallying lately, but in my opinion, they're due for a correction. So it didn't really surprise me to see them coming back down below $40 per share. XRP is not a security, absolutely. Let's do some Q&A, guys. I still have an adult beverage left to go, left to finish up here. So I appreciate everyone for stopping by, guys. My website, zachrector.com, is when you can get in touch with me, get all of our community resources, and we have our Discord weekly calls every Saturday, additional educational content over there as well. So that's just at my website, zachrector.com. If you are holding XRP, it's for a store of value, not for transferring value, unless you want to use it for liquidity. That's a good point. For me, I treat it as a reserve currency on my balance sheet. And once we do get DeFi coming along, once we get the AMMs, I will be providing some XRP up for liquidity pools in different DeFi and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to be collateralizing my XRP, hopefully going to take out a loan against it. But I'm only going to do so after I see XRP stabilize, after we get regulations, after we go through the next bull run. I want to see kind of the speculation and the fly-by-night crowd kind of leave so that I know that XRP's kind of been stabilized. That's when I'm going to collateralize my XRP. In the meantime, I'm looking for the AMMs to come. Those should be coming by next year. And I'm going to be doing due diligence on the AMM liquidity pools to make sure that I don't get rugged, make sure that we don't, offer up our XRP to liquidity pool that's going to end up, rugging us. So we have to understand how to do due diligence on these AMMs when they do come out. How do we buy Ripple shares if we are not U.S. citizens? Yasin, I believe that you can buy from Linkto if you're outside the U.S. as well. And by the way, guys, I did just find out that you can roll over a 401k retirement account on Linkto as well, too. So just go to the link. It should be in the description of the video. So, how does the value increase collectively if the supply and price meets the demand as it is? What am I missing? I believe that the supply is going to be a lot less than what we are believing and speculating on. I think there's going to be way less XRP available for liquidity. And so that is going to drive up the price of XRP as that demand, as on-demand liquidity grows, as the DeFi on the XRPL grows, and more people are doing NFTs on the XRP, more and more people are doing, metaverse on XRP, more and more people are, bringing their business and integrating their business into the XRPL. We're talking about the tokenization of everything, stocks, bonds, real estate, all of it, along with businesses just deciding to integrate the XRPL, just like Credifi did. All of this drives demand for XRP, and eventually we reach an inflection point where folks start to realize, wow, there's way less of this XRP circulating around than I thought there was. So tokenization will take XRP off market to hold. No, you're going to have folks that take XRP off and they're going to hold XRP, right? But then you have basically similar to the US dollar. Look at all the value that is denominated in US dollar, the debt, the derivatives, the real estate, the equities, so many things denominated in US dollars. Well, when that starts to happen with XRP too, well, that's going to drive additional demand for XRP. So the more people that want to gain access to the XRPL and want to tokenize their real estate on the XRPL, want to tokenize their, securities on the XRPL, they can. And when they do so, they're going to be receiving and using XRP for liquidity to move that value around. So that's where we drive price of XRP, the underlying asset, is when we get more tokenization on the ledger. Because there's going to be more and more people that are going to be using XRP to transact or move that value that they are storing on the ledger. XDC will be a real winner? Actually, yeah, 100%. XDC looks for real with their partnerships, with their adoption. Not as exciting as XRP, obviously, but significant nonetheless. And actually, I was talking to Quincy recently, Quincy Jones, and I think we're going to be getting Quincy back for either a Twitter space or a YouTube session to talk about the updates with XDC. Yeah, you can use XRP many times, Corn Chip. You can use XRP many times per day. You can use the same XRP over and over again. Absolutely. But you have to have the initial supply of XRP, and it has to be at a certain price point to be able to move these liquidity volumes. So when you want to move $1 trillion, well, what do you need right now? Well, you don't even have enough XRP, and you don't have XRP at a high enough price to even move that. And so that's going to lead to significant price. It's kind of a matter of chicken and the egg thing, right? Which comes first? Well, it's going to happen simultaneously. And I think that it gets really ramped up in significant spurts when you see Ripple's partners move over significant flows to the AMM and to the DEX. So you have to understand that Ripple wasn't using the DEX up until now, up until recently. Ripple was using centralized exchanges for on-demand liquidity. Now Ripple's using the DEX, and they're going to be using the AMM, which is just making the DEX more efficient. And then they get their partners to start issuing assets. This is what I was talking about earlier. SBI Holdings or SBI Remit, one of the part of the SBI conglomerate, will issue Japanese yen on the XRPL. Then Circle will issue USDC on the XRPL. Then that will be moved to an AMM liquidity pool, and XRP is going to be used for settlement in between, right? So this is what's coming, and you're going to get what we need on the XRPL is more legitimate issuers of tokens on the XRPL. We need Circle to come to the XRPL and issue USDC on the XRPL. We need, let's throw out a crazy example, JP Morgan coming to the XRPL and issuing JPM coin on the XRPL. I've brought this up before. There's nothing stopping them from doing that. And in fact, maybe it might be behoovant of them to do so to get interoperability with the XRPL with all their other bank and institutional partners that are going to be using the XRPL as well. This is the network effect that Ripple's been building out, and we've already seen 500 banks confirmed just today. It's all driving price. It's all bringing value to the ledger, and inherently that is going to drive price of XRP as well. No, see, Captain Corn Chip. He says, why can't you just use 40 billion supply and transact it 100s of times in 7 minutes? That totals 5 trillion right there. Nobody has 40 billion for liquidity. Nobody has 40 billion XRP for liquidity. Ripple has 40 billion in escrow. Okay. There's 50 billion that's circulating. Okay. Is my XRP circulating? No. No. So you got to find the 40 billion that you want to use for that liquidity. Yeah, sure. You could use that same XRP over and over again, every 3 to 5 seconds. Give yourself a little bit of lag time. Every 10 seconds, we're going to use the same XRP. Go find the 40 billion XRP. It's not there. It's not available. i.e., why you need a higher price. You need a lot of the tokens available for liquidity, or you need a higher price, or both, or a combination of the two. You know, and that's what I see happening with XRP. You weren't even able to put NFTs on the XRP Ledger until what, last year or 2021? I forget when we got NFTs, last year. So I mean, think of how early we are. We didn't even have NFTs until last year. I'm going to look this up just to fact check myself. When was XLS20D activated? In May 2021, a proposal. Yeah, I think in September. In September, it was accepted. Yeah, in May of 2021, good. They started the DevNet in January 2022. They released the proposal in May of 2021, and then I think it got accepted later that year. Yeah, Q3, or it was either Q3 or Q4 of 2022. So just think about that. And then we got DeFi coming. We have an AMM coming. We have cross-chain bridges that are coming. We have EVM sidechain that is coming. Roll over any EVM smart contract. Roll over any ERC20 token to the XRPL and use XRP for settlement. Right? That's all coming. It's all in the works, and we're very close to it. On top of that, we have legal clarity when the rest of the space doesn't. Another distinguishing factor. Shannon says the fact that Z remembers all this. You know, wifey makes fun of me for that because she's like, she has to smack me because I'm checked out on a daily basis because I'm thinking of all this other stuff, which she has to get me squared away. She's like, you remember all this other stuff, but you can't remember the most simple things that she's trying to get me to do. My to-do list, forget about it. I can't say that too. I was saying that quietly. I don't know if you guys caught that because I didn't want her to hear that. Can't let wifey hear that. Good to see you too, Chad. Good to see you. Good to see you, Shannon. So, Jaden, yes, Ripple is still releasing 1 billion from the escrow every month, but they're returning about 70 to 80% of it each month back to escrow. So in all reality, only a couple 100 million XRP are getting released every single month. But this is a very important point. This is a good thing that they are releasing small amounts, which a few 100 million is not a small amount in dollar terms, but relatively speaking, they're letting it trickle out. In where are they letting it go? They are not bringing their XRP to the open market where me and you have to come up with our savings to buy the XRP. That's not the case. If they were doing that, they would be dumping on us. Not what they're doing. Complete opposite. They're only exclusively selling XRP to their on-demand liquidity partners. So when they sell off that XRP, it's immediately going, into liquidity, into utility. Somebody that wants to get XRP and use it. And it's an institution. It's not just Joe Blow. See, if they were dumping on us, they would be coming to the secondary market, or they would be going to these exchanges, and every single month they would say, Coinbase, you take 100 million, Kraken, you take 100 million, Nexo, you take 100 million, Uphold, they'd be like Oprah every single month. You get 100 million XRP, you get 100 million XRP, and they'd just be tossing it out, and they would make us come show up and be the buyers. That would be a problem, right? Because we wouldn't be able to handle all of that XRP that they would be releasing onto the public open market. But they're not releasing it onto the public open market available for retail traders. They're not giving it to exchanges to sell to us. What they're doing is they're directly inserting it into the on-demand liquidity flows, which, what does that do? It actually disperses the supply of XRP, which we want to do. Everybody complains about XRP being centralized as far as the supply of it, because Ripple, controls so much. Well, how do you effectively distribute or disperse all of that XRP without tanking the price? You do exactly what Ripple is doing. They're working with market makers. They're working and only exclusively selling to on-demand liquidity institutional partners. That is how you effectively distribute billions of XRP over the course of years, maybe even decades that this is going to take, right? So that you do so in an effective way. Remember, if Ripple dumped the price, they have the most to lose. Yes, our little bag gets hurt, but they have 50 billion XRP. They get hurt the most if they impact the price negatively. And so that's why they've been working closely with market makers. It got revealed in the SEC lawsuit a little bit deeper on kind of Prisma and some of their other little schemes that they've got set up to be able to sell XRP off effectively. But the reason why they've done all that is so that they have as little of an impact on price when they sell off. This is how you effectively distribute it. And for me, this is what I want them to do. I want you guys to be putting XRP into the hands of banks, institutions, and payment providers that are going to be using XRP for utility. That means that XRP might never be available for me and you, Joe Blow, to pick up on the secondary markets, which, if we want to speculate a little bit further, as I am not afraid to do, this is what leads us to a supply shock scenario coming in for XRP. When we take a look back and we say, wait, oh crap, Ripple has only been selling to on-demand liquidity partners. This hasn't been funneling down to the secondary market exchanges. Where are we going to get XRP from? These exchanges only have, a few billion XRP left. You can go look at the wallets right now. It wouldn't take much. A few rich guys would be able to buy up everything on the secondary markets right now. So that's why I try to break this down. These are FUD points that have been here for years. These are FUD points that are never going to go away until we get price action. And by that time, it's too late. After the supply shock comes in, I can't come on and say, guys, I can't help you. The supply shock already hit. That's why XRP went to $10. That's why XRP went to $20. At that point, our community, we're already going to be talking about what private equity we're buying, what businesses we're buying, what real estate we're buying, the next steps in compounding our wealth. Meanwhile, everybody else is going to, oh crap, you were right. You were onto something there. There is way less XRP than we thought. 100 billion sounded like so much. I didn't realize that 10 million XRP's already been burned. And the more usage of XRP, the more XRP gets burned. And believe it or not, there's actually people that took their XRP and burned it. They sacrificed their XRP so that they could receive Zahao, the ZA tokens. It was called XRP Plus. Now it's called the ZA token. Believe it or not, people took their reserve currency of the new financial system and they willingly burned it, destroyed it, and took it out of existence so that they could receive an XRP plus token. There wasn't that much actually burned through the burn to mint for the sidechain, but I just thought that that was funny. And I was trying to convince them to do it forever. They see the burn to mint function, it actually expires. It goes away. But I was trying to tell those guys, hey, leave it up. Leave that burn to mint. If people want to go burn their XRP, let them. Which I wouldn't advocate for anybody to do that. I'm not here to give anybody financial advice or tell them to burn their XRP. But if people want to be so stupid to go burn their XRP, go let them. Sure. But they only made the burn to mint 1-to-1 temporarily, and then it decreases until it eventually goes away. And one of the reasons why they did it is because they think they wanted to decouple. They wanted to decouple from XRP. Don't tell your boss to F off yet, Spites. I see you. Don't tell your boss to F off just yet. Okay? We got to write out this recession here first. Now, guys, I see that we're approaching about an hour and 17 minutes tonight. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. I'm going to wrap up this session. Like I said, if you want to buy Ripple equity, we got the Linkto link down below. If you are new to Linkto, you will receive $500 towards your investment when you sign up with them, and take advantage of it while it lasts, because we're seeing Ripple equity, the shares were down to $37 per share earlier this morning. After they were at $50 yesterday, they dropped down to $37, but they're already climbing back up, back above $40 per share. But if you spend over $10,000, I think that price drops down to $38 per share. So if you drop 10 big ones, you can get it at $38 per share at Linkto while supplies last. And what's exciting about Linkto is they have all the other opportunities as well too, with Uphold, PolySign, and other opportunities as well. So that's linked up down below. Other than that, my website, zachrector.com, has all of the other community resources. And the only reason why I throw this out here is because I don't have any sponsors. I don't shill any of the crap. I just have my affiliate links down below, which are community resources for you guys to use. And it does support our show. And I greatly appreciate you guys for doing so. Everything else is at my website, zachrector.com. One-on-one sessions are now available. We have weekly calls every Saturday. Get tapped in with us. Already have 3 Discord meetups planned for next year. Can't wait to have some adult beverages in person. And I will see you guys in the next one. If you haven't already, on the way out, please do me a favor. Please hit it. Please tap it or smack it. And I appreciate everyone for stopping by here today. God bless you all. Thank you so much.